In this video, I'm going to share with you a powerful practice tip that you can use for ear training on how to learn melodies on your own. And if you watch until the end, I will share with you a very powerful tool to help you do just that. So when it comes to learning melodies, right, it can be a little bit daunting because when you're listening to a song, the song actually breaks down into different layers. You have the melodies, you have the chords, you have the bass. And so whenever I'm teaching students how to learn by ear, usually the first thing I'll teach them is how to figure out the melody for the song, because the melody in most cases is the easiest thing to hear, because it's whatever the notes are that the singer is singing on top of the chords. The chords are a little bit trickier. I will do a different video on that. I will actually be doing a live later on this week on how to ear train when it comes to chords. So that will be for later on this week. If you sign up for my email list or turn on notifications, you should get a notification for when I go live for that. But anyways, one of the things that you really have to learn in order to make learning melodies a lot easier is you have to learn your scales. I know that's like, okay, scales don't seem like they're really important, but they're extremely important, because anything that you hear when it comes to music, when it comes to chords, when it comes to melodies, they all draw from a particular scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example. The easiest scale that we usually learn first is what's called the C major scale. And for reference, C is the white key to the left of the two black keys. So the keys are named by the letters of the alphabet. So C, D, E, F, G. And then after G, it goes A, and then B, and then the next C, and then the sequence starts over. So that's all the piano is just the same 7 white keys that repeat themselves over again. So for the C scale, the C major scale, all it really is just C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C, right? And there's a certain way you have to play it with your right hand or your left hand, which again, this isn't really about how to play the C scale. Well, actually it should be. You know, while I do that, I might as well just show you. So when you're playing a scale, each scale or each key has their own scale. So C has its own major scale. D has its own major scale. As you can see, it looks a little bit different. It has some of the black keys. You know, every single key has its own scale. B has its own major scale, right? So it's important to learn all of these, because if you come across a song that's in a particular key, then you want to use the scale for that key to kind of figure out what's going on with the song. I'll demonstrate what I mean by that in a second. So for the C scale, just for the example that I'm going to show you, we're going to start with our thumb on C. Our index finger, we're going to D. This is actually how you play the C major scale. Your middle finger will go to E. And then after E, your thumb's going to come under your middle finger and go to the next key, which is F. And you're going to reposition your entire hand. I'm kind of just speeding through this. If I do have a video on how to play the C scale, like in more detail, I will attach that in the description box. But anyways, the index finger will now go to G, middle finger for A, ring finger for B, and then pinky for C. What this does is it helps you familiarize yourself with the notes that belong, or the keys that belong to that particular key. Right? So, for example, if I were to learn the song Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in the key of C major, you'll notice that the notes that I'm using to build the song are from the notes in that scale. Whereas if I were to have to play that in a different key with a different scale, let's say if I was to play it in the key of B major, I would use the notes in the B major scale to build that melody. So learning your scales will help you figure out a lot quicker what notes you're dealing with when you're trying to build a melody, right? So that's like the basics of it. Now, here's the thing. Actually, before I get into that, I want to bring it to your attention. I do have a piano in 3 steps video for the complete piano beginner. If you haven't figured it out by now, most of my videos are for complete beginners trying to get into the door for learning piano. I have a free 3-step video that's in the description box that will give you the basics that you need to know on how to learn piano for complete beginners. So if that's what you're interested in, click the button in the description to sign up for that free video. Now back to this. Now that you know the notes for that particular scale, right? Then what you do is if you learn a song, and I want to use this particular song because I just used this for a young student of mine that I was teaching yesterday. It's called Sunday Morning by Maroon 5. Now, the reason why I'm using this song is because the song happens to be in the key of C. Right? So I'm just using that as an example because it's in this key, right? Now, if I wanted to figure out the melody for that particular key, here's what I would do. If I know that the song is in the key of C, right? That's the first thing. You have to figure out what key the song is in. That way you know what scale that you're working with. If you've heard this song before, and I'm just going to use the first part of the song as an example. When he sings, Sunday morning, rain is falling, right? So you can hear the notes. Ba, 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 ba. Now you have to figure out what the notes are, right? So here's how you do it when it comes to learning by ear. If you know the melody in your head, if you've heard the song enough times, you can hear that melody in your head. Ba, 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 right? Sunday morning, rain is falling. What you do is you use the scale to figure out what those keys are. So you start, again, if this is your first time doing this, this is your starting point. It may seem tedious in the beginning, but I guarantee you, if you practice doing this over time, you'll get faster with it. And sometimes you'll get so good that you won't even have to pick your way through this. You'll be able to hear the melody and be able to pick out the notes without any reference. But again, this is just to get you in the door. So the first note you have to figure out is this note. Ba. So what you can do is you can kind of just pick your way through the scale, right? The C scale that you've already learned. And then until you get to that note that you can hear, right? So, ba, not quite the same note. So I'm going to start with C and I'm going to build my way up to that key. So, sun, not quite, but we're getting there. Sun, close, but not quite. Sun, it sounds like we're almost there. What if it's G? Sun, I think we have a match. So the first note that he sings is G. Sun, right? And we use the scale to figure out what that first note is. So we know sun is G. So the next note is day or day. So we got Sunday. So for day, we can start with C again. Day, not quite. Try D, day. No, but we're close. What about E? Day. I think we have a match. So Sunday, right? So we know Sunday is G and E, and we use this scale to figure it out. Sunday. Now, if you listen to the next two notes, what might you notice? Sunday morning. You might notice that the next two notes are actually exactly the same as the first two notes. So, Sunday morning, G-E, G-E. So that's one of the things you want to listen for when you're hearing a melody. You want to hear patterns. Are notes being repeated? Are phrases being repeated? When you pick up those things, it makes it so much easier to figure out the melody a lot quicker. So, Sunday morning is just G-E, G-E. Right? And guess what? Rain is. Guess what? Those two notes, Sunday morning, rain is. It's the same two notes. So, Sunday morning, rain is. So you're just playing G-E 3 times for that melody. Now when he sings fallen, that's when the notes change. So fallen, right? So you gotta figure out the word fall. So start with C. Fall. Not quite. What about D? Fall. Sounds like the right note, right? So, Sunday morning rain is fall. And then that last note, Lynn, start with C, and guess what note it is? And it happens to be C. So now we have G, E, G, E, G, E, D, C. Sunday morning rain is falling. So that's how we can use the scale to figure out what the melody is just by using the scale as our guide to match the notes that we hear in our head or what we hear in the song to make sure that we're picking the right melody. So what you want to do in your practice routine, right, you pick a song that is, first of all, in a key that you're familiar with. Or if you want to hear a song, or put it this way, if you have a song that you know the melody is pretty easy or the melody is pretty kind of straightforward, the first thing you have to do is figure out what key that song is in, right? So let's say if we were to do Rihanna's Lift Me Up, right? Lift me up, hold me down. The way to figure out the key that the song is in is to figure out what key is all the other notes trying to resolve to. So lift, it may not be the first note that they sing, but you'll hear if the key kind of matches the song. So let's say if I was to figure out, is the song in the key of F? Lift me up, hold me down. Doesn't sound like it matches. So what if it's A? Lift me up, hold me down. Lift me up, hold me down. Keep me close, safe and sound. So it sounds like everything's trying to resolve to this key. That's how I know it's the key of A major. Once you figured out that key, the first thing you want to do is learn the scale for that key, right? So for A major, it would be A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. I know you won't remember that, but I'm just, again, using this as an example. So you want to practice that first, right? And then once you are really familiar with that scale, then you can go back and figure out the melody for the song and then use the scale that you just learned to pick your way through the song. And one of the really important tools that you can use, one of my recommended tools, I did say I was going to give you guys a surprise tool at the end of the video, or towards the end of the video, is going to be the Scales, Chords, and Arpeggios book by James Bastian. Every single chord that you would need to know for every single key is in this book. So what it does is it gives you the sheet music version of each of the chords or each of the scales. As you can see, it has the notes for the C major scale, and it gives you the fingerings and everything. It even gives you the minor scale. So a major scale sounds like this, sounds happy. Minor scale sounds sad and gloomy, right? So they even give you the minor scales for each key. So it gives you all the major scales for each of the keys, including the black keys, and the minor scales for all the keys, including the black keys. So if you need to learn a song, then you go into the book, figure out the key of the song first, find that key in this book, learn the scale for that key for a little bit as a part of your practice routine, and then go back, once you familiarize yourself with that key, the scale for that key, then you can go back and work your way through the melody for the song that you are working through. So that's something that you can do on an ongoing basis. That can be an endless practice routine if you're trying to learn a song by ear, especially if you want to learn through melody first, and then you can work up your way to the chords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you a playlist. It should show up somewhere in the right of the screen, where you can go over other practice tips and strategies for other aspects of learning. So if you want to learn, let's say, pop music, if you want to learn how to sight read, there's different practice tips and routines that I put together for you to help you reach those particular goals in music and in piano. So that should be in the right of this screen here. So if this was helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. So thank you for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.